This video will demonstrate how to install and remove the NTC's cotter pin on a dual clevis pin automatic slack adjuster. Before we can install the NTC's cotter pin, we must first remove the two existing cotter pins and make sure that both of the clevis pins are free to rotate. The NTC's cotter pin is packaged in a single axle per bag, where each bag contains two NTC's cotter pins, a left and a right, or a right and a left. A left and a right, or a right and a left, is dependent on the orientation of the slack adjuster and the two clevis pins. If the clevis pins are pointing in or out, or if the slack adjuster is pointing up or it's pointing down. There are two steps to install the NTC's cotter pin properly. First step is that the NTC's cotter pin must always point away from the slack adjuster. So if the slack adjuster is underneath of it, these two extensions must always point away from the slack adjuster. If the slack adjuster is upside down, meaning the S-cam will be on top, it will then point down to point away from the slack adjuster. That's step number one. Step number two is that the extension that goes through the half-inch clevis pin must always be towards the inside. So if you have this pin in hand, you'll know that that extension will not go through the borehole because these other two coils are keeping it from going in. So this would be the right one, where the extension is on the inside and the two extensions are pointing away from the slack adjuster. By following those two simple steps, we can now install the NTC's cotter pin. We first go with the long extension through the borehole of the 1/4 inch pin. We then face the half-inch part or extension that goes through the half-inch clevis pin to the inside. And we rotate it until we can get the tip of the half-inch extension just to miss the half-inch clevis pin. We now rotate the pin to align the hole with the half-inch extension. We push it through and just wiggle the pin back and forth and rotate it and push it down, just like so, until the locking bar is touching the face of the half-inch clevis pin. The next thing to do is take a flat screwdriver and pry it between the locking bar and the pin or the extension pin that goes through the half-inch clevis pin. Go in between them both, pull up the locking bar, and you can rotate the screwdriver that easy to push the locking bar on top of the face of the clevis pin. The next thing to do is take the flat screwdriver, push it on the locking bar. You can tap it slowly or you can push it until it snaps into place, just like that. Once the locking bar is passed over the other side and locked and snapped into place, we now have installed the NTC's cotter pin. To remove the NTC's cotter pin is exactly the opposite of when we install it. We take the flat screwdriver and go in between the locking bar and the extension that goes through the half-inch clevis pin borehole, and we pick up the locking bar again and now twist backwards to get the locking bar over top of the face of the half-inch clevis pin. We can now take a pair of pliers and pull on this end and rotate up until the locking bar snaps away from the face of the half-inch clevis pin. With our fingers, we can now do the rest by wiggling it back and forth and pull the cotter pin out.